Now we can also use the GameObject class to find and search for any game objects in the scene. And we can do that primarily by two methods. We can search for objects by name, or we can search for objects by tag. And I'm going to show you how to do both. So let's just bring up a script file here. Actually, before we bring up a script file, let's just create a completely empty object in the scene. So I'm going to select GameObject and create empty, or I could press Ctrl-Shift-N on the keyboard. So I'm going to create a completely empty object, and I'm going to name this, in fact, I'm going to name this empty object and press enter on the keyboard. Now I'm going to return to the script file. Now if I want to retrieve a reference to that new object that we have created, well, I can do that pretty easily. For example, let's create a new public property here. I'm going to call this public game object, and I'm going to call this searched object, like so, which is going to hold the reference to the object that we find. So I'm going to select searched object, going to paste that into here, and I'm going to search for the object, and all I have to do is type GameObject.find, and in parentheses I can put the name of the game object that I want to find. In this case it's going to be empty object. I'm going to press Ctrl-S on the keyboard to save those changes. And now when I select the special camera, you can see we've got searched object. Right now it's set to none, but when I press play on the toolbar, you can see now all of a sudden it's set to the empty object. And if I click on that, it selects the empty object that it has selected, which it has found by name. So that's one way you can go about searching for objects. I do not recommend, however, that you use this method, or at least try to avoid using it frequently in the game, because it is performance intensive. It takes quite a while to search for game objects by string values. A much more efficient method is to search for an object by tag. So let's take a look at how to do that. Now, to search for objects by tag, I'm going to create some new game objects in the scene. So I'm going to select GameObject, create empty, or press Ctrl-Shift-N. So I'm going to press Ctrl-Shift-N to create a game object, and another one, and another one, and another one. Now the empty game object, I'm going to assign that a tag. Right now it's untagged, but I'm going to assign this the tag of game controller. I'm going to assign this one the tag of game controller. I'm going to assign this one the tag of player. I'm going to assign this one the tag of finish. I'm going to assign this one the tag of respawn. Now, right now these tags are not very meaningful to us for our project, but typically for your own games you will use and create meaningful tags. So be sure to tag your objects meaningfully, otherwise the search operations will really be quite pointless. So we've assigned our objects now some tags in the scene, and you can see them here listed in the scene. Now what I want to do is to find the objects by tag. So I'm going to return back to code here. I'm going to change this public variable. Instead of it being a single game object, it's going to be an array of game object. So it's going to be searched objects, because we're going to be finding potentially more than one object, since multiple objects can have the same tag. So here we're going to be assigning searched objects the results of our search, and I'm going to delete this statement for find here, and I'm going to type GameObject dot, and I'm going to type find objects with tag. Notice that we've got plural, find objects, more than one, as opposed to finding a single object. So we want to find objects with tag, and in here I'm just going to put, for example, player, the player tag, and press Ctrl-S on the keyboard. And now let's just press play and see what happens. And when I do this, I get an error that says tag player is not defined. Be careful when you specify the name of your tags, because they are case sensitive. You will notice here that the player tag has a capital P, and in my code I have left it as a lowercase p. So ensure to specify the uppercase letter. I'm going to change that, press Ctrl-S on the keyboard, return to the editor, and now press play. And now when I select the special camera object, you can see in the searched objects we now have one game object found. I'm going to select that, and it is this one with the player tag specified. So that's how we can go about searching objects by tag.